Thabo Bester is legitimately South African and deserves an ID book. That's according to Home Affairs Minister Motsoaledi, who says the department has determined the convicted rapist and murderer's true identity. Motsoaledi says the death certificate issued after Bester was wrongfully certified dead by a Free State pathologist is automatically annulled. eNCA's Moloko Moloto is following that story for us. He joins us live now. Moloko, so Home Affairs Minister Dr. Motsoaledi earlier explaining why it was difficult to confirm Thabo Bester's identity. What were some of the key points he made there?
Good afternoon, Anli. Well, what we know now, which is official from the Home Affairs Department, is that Thabo Bester is not an alien. He is South African. He was born here 37 years back in Soweto at the Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital. And that, the minister says, they managed to confirm after they saw an interview that Thabo Bester's mother did with Slindelo Masigane of eNCA, who insisted that she was the mother. And the officials from the department personally went to the mother, who continued to insist that she was the mother. And of course, this was after a lot of South Africans believed that he possibly is not South African. And the minister did say today that despite the fact that he was born here in a South African hospital to a South African citizen, he never applied for a birth certificate. He did not apply for an ID, and he also never had a passport issued by the South African government. The minister says they also managed to go to one Layer school, a primary school here in one of the suburbs in Johannesburg, where he started a school from the elementary level, and he studied according to the records of that school until grade 5. So at some point he disappeared from his mother, and that is why the mother never even had an opportunity of even applying for a birth certificate and an ID for him, because even herself, the mother, according to the minister, for a long time did not have a South African ID. She only got it very late. But the minister is insisting that this is the same man who was arrested in Tanzania. They did check the fingerprints. They match those of the men who at some point was incarcerated at the Mangaung Correctional Services. So it is him, according to the authorities, to a point that they even say that should he want an ID, they will be able to give him one within weeks or days. Maybe let's listen to Minister Motsoaledi there.
When we learned from TV that there's a lady who appeared on TV and declared that is Thabo Bester's mother, we decided that maybe that could be the clue. We paid her a visit, and indeed, we paid her a visit to Home Affairs. Indeed, she insisted that she's the mother of Thabo Bester. She even gave us his date of birth and told us that she gave birth to this gentleman at Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital on the 13th of June, 1986. I've seen on several media that he was born somewhere between 1983 and 1986. He was actually born on the 13th of June 1986. And indeed, we rushed to Bara Hospital and checked in their archives. And what this lady told us is true. Thabo Bester, if you go to archives in Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital, you'll find him in the labor ward of the hospital. The date on which he was born and who gave birth to her and all that. So Thabo Bester does exist actually as Thabo Bester. And the mother in the records at Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital was recorded as Macy Bester.
Moloko, and what about Nandipa Magudumana? Does she have a South African passport? And what other documents was she in possession of when she was arrested in Tanzania alongside Bester?
She is certainly South African. She has had 2 passports in her lifetime, South African passports. The first one expired, and the second one is still valid. Minister saying that it's actually valid until the 2027. Now, she did not use that particular passport that is now valid to exit the country. There's no evidence that showing that the two left South Africa formally. The last time she utilized that particular passport was when she landed in, I think, May 2022 from Bulawayo in Zimbabwe, landing at OR Tambo International Airport. What is bizarre, though, Anli, is that she was arrested in possession of 3 passports, her passport and the 2 others. These 2 belong to somebody called Dr. Patience Nsama. It appears these 2 know one another. They certainly know one another. According to the minister, at some point, Dr. Nsana told authorities through an affidavit that her first passport, one that has since expired, was lost. And she came back to say that, telling the authorities through an affidavit as well, to say her second passport, one that is active, she personally gave it to Nandipa as well as Thabo Bester, because apparently the 2 had promised to secure her a job in the United States. Now, she is now telling the authorities that the second passport, I personally gave it to these 2. Now, the question is, how did Nandipa and Thabo get hold of the first one that was reported to be lost? And I mean, at that point in time, we don't want to insinuate anything, but surely there are a plethora of questions that must be answered here as to what actually Dr. Nchana knows in the whole scheme. Is she a victim, perhaps, or is she part of it? Now, the Thabo Bester himself, despite the fact that he has never applied for a South African passport, he has never had an ID. He was arrested in possession of a passport that apparently was issued by the American government and with the name of one Tom Williams Kelly. The minister says it looks like it was never used anywhere, and he's unable, as the South African official, to determine its authenticity. He says it would require the Americans themselves using their own data to verify this. Maybe let's listen to Dr. Motsoaledi there.
When she was caught in Tanzania, she was found in possession of this passport, which expired in 2027, which she last used on the 12th of May 2022, coming from Bulawayo. She was found with that passport. But she was found with 2 other passports, and that's where the story of multiple passports come in. But those 2 passports don't belong to her. They belong to a Dr. Mereka Patience Martha Ntani. She was carrying her passports. Now, one of these passports she was carrying had actually expired on the 24th of July 2022, because we issued it to Dr. Ntani on the 25th of July 2012. So midnight on 24th of July 2022, it expired, but she was carrying it. And look, it beats us as to why she was carrying an expired passport.
Well, thank you very much, Moloko Moloto, for bringing us an update from the Home Affairs Minister, Motsoaledi.